Hi, everyone, and welcome back. So you've sent us some really intriguing material this time, notes, a transcript,
Yeah,
all about a special event for Dr. Inácio Ferreira.
that's right. We're diving into a recorded talk celebrating his birthday. It's from the GFE Irmán Bezerra de Menezes YouTube channel, and it gives us this amazing window into his work, well, his continued work in the spiritual realm.
Yeah, and our sort of mission today is to unpack all these details.
Yeah.
Because honestly, some of it is pretty mind-bending.
Definitely. We're talking about his role in this huge spiritual hospital, his teachings.
And you weren't kidding about mind-bending. A 52-story underground hospital, plus 118 above,
Yeah.
spiritual hangars, even gentle saber-toothed tigers is quite a lot.
It really is. So let's start with the basics. The talk was April 15th, 2025, Dr. Inácio Ferreira's birthday.
Right, and there was an invitation mentioned for a Saturday event.
Yeah, at the Casa Bendita, the Blessed House, a lecture, cake, a celebration in his honor. It sets the scene, shows how important he is to this group.
Okay, got it. And his role there is, he's the psychiatric doctor for the Grupo Bezerra.
Correct. But then there's this hospital he's connected with. The scale, 52 levels down, 118 up, that's 180 levels total.
Wow. 180 levels. What does that even imply? A spiritual hospital that big?
Well, it suggests maybe a vast need for healing spiritual suffering. It seems designed for spirits in really deep distress.
That's stress-like.
The transcript mentions zoanthropy. Basically, spirits acting in animalistic ways. Maybe they've been in darkness for a long time.
Okay.
And the idea is they need a really gradual introduction to light. Too much at once could be harmful. So it's like a delicate recovery.
Like spiritual decompression almost.
Mhm.
And it's framed as a rescue, you said, not punishment.
Exactly. For spirits who were, let's say, acting against divine principles, they're brought to the lower levels first for care.
And then they move up as they heal.
Precisely. They progress upwards. There was even a detail about one spirit getting permission to take an elevator to the 17th floor.
An elevator. That really paints a picture of the structure, doesn't it?
It does. And the size, again, larger than the state of Paraná in Brazil.
Larger than Paraná. That's staggering. What does that suggest about spiritual organization?
Well, it points to a highly organized, resource-rich system focused on healing, maybe even more so than what we see materially.
In the hangar. Receiving things from all over the universe.
Yeah, equipment, spirits, suggests constant activity, like a major hub for spiritual aid.
Okay, so beyond the main structure, there's this new wing, too. The treatment of nature one.
Right. Took 8 years to build. Spiritual beds, a beautiful entrance with living plants. Sounds very serene.
What does using nature like that tell us about their approach?
I think it points to a holistic view. Nature's restorative power isn't just physical, it's spiritual too. Creating a beautiful space matters for healing.
Makes sense. Now, shifting slightly, Quaresma or Lent, the talk called it a difficult period spiritually. Worse than Carnival, even. Why?
Well, from the spiritist view, certain times on Earth might have intensified spiritual energies or vulnerabilities. The transcript mentions thousands of spirits collected during this Quaresma period.
Collected for what purpose?
They were being prepared for transfer to other casas do pai, fathers' houses, different spiritual centers or planes for their continued growth. This transfer was set for just after April 17th.
And that timing is important, right?
Hmm.
Near anniversaries for Bezerra de Menezes or Jesus?
Seems so, yes. It suggests a kind of spiritual rhythm or calendar. These spirits, though, face challenges.
Like what?
Deeply held beliefs. That Earth is unique, suffering is forever. Disbelief in reincarnation or spirit communication, often because of their earthly religious background.
So their old beliefs hold them back.
Yeah, they can be real obstacles to understanding their new reality. There's even the idea that disbelief in reincarnation can actually prevent it, because God respects free will.
Wow. That's profound. How our beliefs shape reality, even after,
Well,
all after.
Absolutely, but then there's this new treatment they mentioned, using spiritual plants, started January 1st.
And that made a difference.
Apparently a big one. It got these Quaresma spirits ready for their transition 9 months early.
9 months. That's huge. And that number, 9 months, feels symbolic, right? Like gestation, rebirth.
It really does feel intentional. It also shows how healing methods evolve even in the spiritual realm. They're using spiritual resources in new ways.
Okay, back to the scale for a second. The city of Curitiba, other places in Paraná, they're within the hospital space. How does that work?
That's a tough one to grasp with our physical understanding. It might mean the spiritual dimensions operate differently, maybe overlaying or interpenetrating ours.
Yeah.
It challenges our ideas of space.
It definitely does. And then the spiritual zoo with docile saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah, that detail just jumps out, doesn't it?
It really does. What could that possibly signify?
Oh.
Docile predators.
It makes you wonder, right? Maybe it symbolizes transformation, reconciling opposites. Or perhaps the nature of archetypes is different there. It certainly challenges assumptions.
No kidding. Okay, let's move to the message from Dr. Inácio himself. It was psychographed. Can you quickly explain that?
Sure. Psychography is when a medium allows a spirit to write through their hand. So this message is presented as coming directly from Dr. Inácio.
And the first thing that struck me was his humility. He calls himself just a curious individual, not learned.
Yes, despite everything, that sense of being a continuous learner is strong. He talks about seeing the beauty of creation more clearly now than when he was incarnate.
That's beautiful. And this idea of spiritual alphabetization, learning divine principles through nature and morality.
It's a reminder for all of us, really, to keep learning spiritually and see the divine in the everyday and how we act.
And he requested Mozart during the writing.
Yeah, another lovely touch. Shows the connection between music and the spirit, its uplifting power. He clearly appreciates music and sees these celebrations as spiritual rebirths.
He also mentions multiple layers or homes in the spirit world.
Right, suggesting a busy, connected life there. Responsibilities, relationships across different spheres, his gratitude for the celebrations, his understanding of reincarnation, it all comes through.
He seems very focused on connecting with positive energies through music, through harmony, and Jesus as the guiding force.
That's a central theme, reinforcing the core beliefs. And his own commitment is powerful too, wanting to multiply his dons and talents and share them. Ongoing service.
He even says he's present at all the events at the Casa.
Yes, and that he was invited to some special luminous gathering for his anniversary. But even with all that, his focus on helping patients remains.
That dedication is incredible, and the emphasis on growth, moving beyond ignorance. That's universal.
Absolutely. His love for everyone, acknowledging the leadership, feeling grateful. He even mentions the benefits of being disincarnate.
Benefits like what?
Being able to continue his work as a doctor of heads, as he puts it, but maybe with a wider perspective, without physical limits.
Doctor of heads. I like that. He finishes with the balms of God, Christ, charity. A powerful summary.
It really is, and a blessing for the community. A very inspiring message overall.
Definitely. Then the talk shared more biographical details, right? Born 1904, disincarnated 1988.
Correct. And the fact that he spiritually coexisted with Dr. Bezerra while Bezerra was still alive, that suggests a very deep connection.
A long-standing partnership. And directing a spiritual replica of his old sanatorium. Commuting spiritually at night.
Shows incredible dedication, doesn't it? The continuity of his work.
It really does. Then there's the story of Maria Modesto Cravo. Her healing.
Yes, healed from thrombosis by Euripides Barçanulfo. He's another key figure, a mentor in this lineage. Apparently started spiritual surgeries way back in 1901.
Wow, 1901. That shows the history here. And the anecdote about the woman only wanting cake.
Yeah. A little touch of human reality, right? Everyone connects differently.
So true. But Maria Modesto Cravo, after her healing, she founded a psychiatric hospital.
Guided to do it, apparently. Addressing how the mentally ill were treated back then, often just isolated.
That's amazing, turning personal healing into service. Then the story about the young man institutionalized for seeing spirits.
Yeah, that really contrasts the spiritist view of mediumship with a purely material psychiatric view.
Highlighting the potential harm of misunderstanding.
Exactly. And how experiences like that apparently led France to rethink its approach to asylums. Dr. Inácio's analogy captures it well. The mine on a knife's edge.
Such a vivid image. They mentioned showing photos of the Uberaba hospital, too.
Yes, on the upcoming Saturday event, to make it more tangible.
So, how did Dr. Inácio himself get involved? He wasn't initially a spiritist, right?
Okay.
Became head doctor in 1933.
Right, it seems his openness was key. And that story about using his cat.
The cat. To sense spiritual influences. That's unique.
Definitely unconventional, but suggests an intuitive grasp of things beyond the physical.
And that led to the tangent about cats in the Middle Ages and penicillin.
Yeah, a surprising historical connection. How fear of folk healers and their remedies, including molds, led to persecuting cats associated with them.
History is strange. And the nurse worrying about hygiene with the cats.
Brings it back down to earth, doesn't it? Practical realities.
But then, after he disincarnated, his experience in the spiritual hospital,
Mm.
the brooms, the visuras.
Yes. Addressing cleanliness by giving everyone a broom to clean their own space. And color-coded based on their needs.
Color-coded, what's the thinking there?
Maybe a personalized approach, recognizing different needs, different challenges, fostering self-responsibility too.
And the story about the orator complaining about sweeping.
Hilarious, right? Dr. Inácio suggests using the broom as a microphone for evangelizing. A great lesson in humility and service, delivered with wit.
It really shows his character. Then his conditions for joining Grupo Bezerra, his records, and his cat.
Charming, isn't it? The importance of personal comforts, even in spiritual work.
Absolutely. And the story about his deceased cat appearing to him later.
So touching. A reminder of those lasting bonds.
It is. And Chico Xavier out walking him, Dr. Inácio eager to pitch the broom idea.
Shows his proactive side, finding practical solutions, and the idea got approved eventually.
Okay. Then the story shifts to Lenar, a former powerful negative spirit.
Yeah, described as number 2 in controlling evil on Earth. Rescued, placed in a secure room at the hospital.
And he's making progress, seeing a light within himself.
Yes, really inspiring. Shows the potential for transformation, even in extreme cases.
And his reaction to the broom, feeling unworthy, then overjoyed when Dr. Inácio gave him one personally.
It really highlights the power of kindness, recognition, especially for someone feeling so lost.
And the symbolism of the broom, you have to use it.
Exactly. A metaphor for our own growth. We need active engagement. It's not passive.
Makes sense. And this Visora program is now active at Casa de Bezerra.
Seems so, showing the lasting impact of his ideas. His role is described as vital, permanent, like the Little Prince quote about being responsible for what you've tamed.
A lovely way to put it. Then there's the book, A Reencarnación de Bezerra de Menezes, created quickly as a tribute.
Yes, psychographed in 30 days by various spirits. And the story about the cover image is, well, extraordinary.
The image of Christ's hand appearing on the photo, interpreted as a blessing.
Right, and apparently verified through communication with another spiritual doctor, Leocardo Correa.
That's quite something. Unique for a book like this. Evokes the Thomas story, you said.
Yeah, the desire for tangible proof versus faith. The book itself is clearly full of valued wisdom.
And it was created in secret, as a surprise for Dr. Bezerra before he reincarnated.
Yes, has a real touch of affection to it. The presentation in the spiritual realm must have been quite emotional.
I can only imagine. And all this leads up to the upcoming celebration for Dr. Inácio 121st earthly birthday, 37th year disincarnate.
A fitting culmination, celebrating his service.
Then we have the closing remarks from Anna, the medium. She mentions the thin line between sanity and madness.
Yes, particularly relevant for mediums, acknowledging the challenges. She also credits Odilon, another spiritual guide, for support.
And notes Dr. Inácio wrote his book in joy, but apologized for the difficulty of talking about Bezerra's reincarnation.
Shows the sensitivity around that topic, and she mentions using Mozart again for the psychography, echoing Dr. Inácio's request.
It ties together nicely. She also stresses Bezerra continues his work despite reincarnating.
Important reassurance for the community, continuity. And her point about faith and inner feeling over external proof.
That's central, isn't it? And the Visora is the servants being valuable, even if dark, from use.
A beautiful image honoring dedication. And the idea that overcoming difficulties is key for growth. That's a universal message.
Use your heart, not just your head. Criticize commercializing mediumship. Affirm the sincerity of their work.
Strong points. And encouraging everyone to find their own dons and talents. A call for personal empowerment.
Ending with messages of divine love, prayer, blessings. It feels very complete.
It does, including acknowledging the other spiritual entities present.
And those little points at the end. The Alzheimer's question for Chico Xavier, birthday blessings, helping someone at the market.
Yeah, they ground it all. Reminders of everyday life, kindness, ongoing questions, even amidst these huge spiritual concepts.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've covered a lot. The incredible scale of that spiritual hospital, the nature of the work with suffering spirits, Dr. Inácio's ongoing presence and wisdom.
It's been fascinating. And we hope for you, the listener, this exploration of the material you shared has been, well, insightful and maybe sparked some new thoughts.
Definitely. And for that final thought, maybe consider this interconnectedness we've talked about between the spiritual and the material. What could that mean for how we think about mental health, about healing, about our own soul's journey?
Right. Perhaps reflect on the idea of unseen support and the potential for growth that can come even from really tough times.
We'd encourage you to explore anything that resonated. Maybe look more into spiritism, figures like Bezerra de Menezes or Chico Xavier, or just mull over this concept of spiritual hospitals and healing beyond the physical.
There's certainly a lot to think about.